Hey y'all, it's Tammy Davis. Thank you so much for joining me today. I had a conversation yesterday with a medical massage therapist, and it was actually a really great conversation to the point where I thought, well, hey, let's just talk about it here because obviously I don't work with physical structure, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. I am a phytotherapist, a aromacologist with a background in pharmacology, and the continued study of drug development, the continued study of plant constituents, pardon me, and their influence on drug development. So that's kind of, in the past, if you've watched it, if you are not new to my channel, you've seen other videos, I've often mentioned that genomics or the genome is involved, and there's some of that, but truthfully, the way I currently work has everything to do with supporting liver enzyme, double checking liver enzyme conflicts if there's medications involved, and really supporting systems. Stabilizing systems is really kind of where I go with all of this. But that said, in this conversation with this medical massage therapist, his concern was with people who are particularly overweight. In the United States, it's talked about the obesity epidemic, and his frustrations are how difficult it is to actually speak to people about this because of their sensitivity, and which is a completely legitimate concern because you don't want to, it's not about insulting someone, but when they're coming in and they have joint structure pain, whether it be the hips, the knees, the ankles, and so forth, or the lower back, it's difficult to actually work those areas, especially depending on the amount of fat tissue that is on the body. And he finds it particularly difficult, again, to bring up the idea of weight loss, fat loss, as part of a treatment protocol because, again, people don't, culturally, we're stifled. I mean, there's so much judgment, and I don't agree with judgment. Again, good, bad, right, wrong. I mean, we have this whole idea about obesity as being bad. We look at skinny as good, and skinny doesn't necessarily mean good. Obese isn't necessarily, it's not about what's good or bad. It's about really what's functional. And if you're carrying extra weight and having joint issues, then it's a worthy conversation to have. And so his question, his unasked question, which I kind of picked up on, had everything to do with how do you broach this subject? And I said, well, in my opinion, it takes understanding. And again, I've talked about this before. I think I've disturbed some people when I talk about understanding when it comes to health and wellness. But if we understanding it, the sense of not like, oh, I get it. It's kind of like really getting it. I mean, really coming to the truth of the matter is how I want to say it. Getting to the truth of the matter. So culturally, we have this idea that obesity has everything to do with overeating and lack of exercise. And I mean, there's other judgments that go along with it that I'm not going to even touch because I disagree with them. Now, that's not to say that everyone across the board is physically active. And I mean, we've had these conversations before, this gentleman and I've had it with other people. My belief system and what I was explaining to him, again, in developing understanding, is number one, I don't believe people are innately lazy. I believe that the amount of chemicals that we are exposed to on a regular basis alters our system. Again, if you're new to my channel, I talk frequently about nature communicating with chemicals. We are nature, plants are nature, animals are nature. So there's chemicals consistently interacting with our body, and our bodies on a second by second, nanosecond by nanosecond time frame is actually altering, making adjustments, accommodating the messages that are coming in. Currently, there's 45 million chemicals on this planet being consumed in some level by human beings, whether it be breathing, rubbing it on our skin, drinking it, or eating it. In medication form, they're everywhere. There's no way we are going to eradicate 45 million chemicals. Therefore, we have to begin with the inside of the body. Now, when this happens, when essentially we're experiencing environmental trauma, and as this happens, it creates change within the system. Again, the body is adapting according to the messages it's receiving. So the internal world is basically a direct reflection of the external world. And if the external world is crazy with its communication level, the inside is going to be crazy with communication level. Okay, meaning cells communicating. So, and the reason this is important is because these chemicals are lipophilic, which means they can replace our hormones. They can actually fit into the receptors and send signals, but they're going to be different signals because they're different chemicals. So the body is going to make adjustments. This throws off our cardiovascular system, it throws off our digestive system, more importantly, and it definitely throws off our hormonal system, because all of a sudden there's a change in the message. It becomes stressful, and stress ideally is a protection mechanism. So what ends up happening is, with these different chemicals coming in, the body produces oxidative stress. Now, fat tissue is part of the hormonal system. Adipose tissue is part of the endocrine system. So to be as harsh as we are with people carrying around extra fat on their body is nonsense. I'm going to put it politely. It's nonsense. It's utter nonsense, because how our body, how that individual body is reacting. Yes, there are things we can do about it. Yes, there are people that their bodies are reacting differently. This isn't to say that everybody is going to become obese. We are seeing an increase in the obesity levels. We're also seeing an increase in autoimmune disorders. We're seeing a lot of people with obesity also have cardiovascular and types, things like diabetes. So it all goes hand in hand. But let me just reiterate, the adipose tissue is part of the endocrine system. And again, the way the body adapts to the stress really depends on the way your system is wired. It has nothing to do with what everybody wants to predict. It has everything to do with the way your body is wired. Some people are going to develop other issues. Some people are going to develop, more mental and movement disorders, as opposed to fat tissue problems. I mean, so we're seeing varying levels, again, depending on the individual genome. But that said, obesity has everything to do with a hormonal imbalance, a hormonal dysregulation. And so in this conversation, so this is how I was explaining to him. And what's worse is, because he kept saying, well, if they lose the weight, then their joints won't hurt. And I said, I disagree with you, because it's not like they've only been walking around with this much weight on their body, or this much fat tissue on their body, for one day or 1 week or 1 month. This has been years in the development, which means if there is a added development of fat tissue, it's going to affect the way the joint structure develops. Now, what's interesting to me is we often hear obesity and arthritis, right? That's hard on the joints, and so there's the breakdown. But no one is talking about the fact that if the hormonal system is been altered as a result of environmental trauma, then the hormonal system interacts with the immune system. They're like this. They're buds. And if that's the case, it's going to alter growth hormone. It's going to alter everything. It's going to alter the way the immune system is reacting, and this is where autoimmune disorders come in. And it could end up being joint problems. So even if they lose the weight, that's not going to guarantee that they're going to no longer have joint problems, because truth be told, their joints were developing differently as a result of the hormonal and immune interactions. So this is extraordinarily important to talk about, because even if we're going to talk about losing fat tissue in order to improve joint health and relieve pain, we have to be aware that that pain may never go away, or it may lessen, but it may not completely go away. And then again, it might, depending on how long it goes on. Again, it depends on the individual. So this is what I wanted to kind of bring to the table today. It's like, we have to shift our perspective of what obesity is. I mean, yes, many people classify it as a disease, and it is a disease of the endocrine system. Dis-ease means lack of ease. If you want to call it a disorder, it means lack of order. Some people want to say it's because people are lazy and they don't watch what they eat. Well, while there is some validity to that, I mean, I'm not taking responsibility away from the individual, because everybody has the ability to change the way they think. So just as much as the body changes, the mind is able to change it. We can go, no, I don't need to go eat that. I don't need that right now. We can learn how to check in with ourselves. But then again, appetite and satiation, which is a really, I hate that word because it's so hard for me to say, but those two functions are controlled by hormones. So again, it's not necessarily checking in to see if you actually have an appetite or are truly hungry, because an appetite can be stimulated by an appetite. I mean, just an appetite can be stimulated by a hormone, and you may not necessarily be hungry. And then again, I also believe that because of the level of stress that the body is under, physiologically, the digestive system is altered, as I mentioned, which means we're not breaking down the macronutrients effectively. Therefore, we're not assimilating the smaller bits of sugar and the smaller bits of protein, also known as amino acids. Okay, so we're not assimilating those effectively. As a result, the cells are going to be hungry. And here's a very interesting thing, because we require sugar for energy. That's our immediate source of energy. And then fat is also a source of energy. And if the cells are needing energy and we need energy, the hormonal system is designed to actually release fat in order to provide energy. But what's happening is these signals are not being sent, again, because of the dysregulation of the hormonal system. And the longer this goes on, the longer the body is stressed. So this video is actually a plea to collectively understand that obesity is not anyone's fault. If you're not getting out and getting any physical exercise, it's not about a have to, it's about what do you want. You may not feel like it. You just may not feel like it. And again, it comes to a relationship with ourselves and going, okay, well, this is what's happening in my system, and I have control over this. I can get up, and even if it's just to walk a short way, and keep with it. The same thing with the food. You know, we can tell ourselves that we just don't need that food right now. We can wait a little bit longer. I mean, there are tricks to begin to regulate our mind. But that said, it's going to take an extraordinary amount of effort to also help the system re-regulate itself, to actually stabilize that hormonal system, relieve the stress response at the cellular level. This is where essential oils come in. No amount of herbs, no amount of dietary supplements, none of that is going to make a difference. I mean, it's not going to make a difference. It may, you know, a lot of these nutraceutical supplements do have herbal stimulants in them. They also have an extraordinary amount of caffeine. There's I haven't reached the point of where I'm ready to start naming companies, although, trust me, my immediate family hears it, because these companies are driving me batty, just batty, because of the things that they're producing and then giving to their downlines and promoting. I mean, I had some woman yesterday, this is actually going into a blog post after I do this. She has a serious condition where after she has children, she hemorrhages, and so the doctors put her on the mini pill, birth control, which is only progesterone. And the reason for that was it would not diminish her milk supply. The American Academy of Pediatrics has approved the use of birth control pills during pregnancy, or during pregnancy and lactation. But then that's part of the blog post. But the point that I'm getting at is this particular nutraceutical representative comes out and says, well, you know what, if you use these products, which mind you, these products are extremely expensive, it'll block the progesterone from that medication from passing through your breast milk. No, it doesn't. There's nothing that's going to block the body. I mean, and my mind went into, well, you know, With oils, you can actually inhibit liver enzyme activity. But with herbs and antioxidants, it isn't going to happen. Those don't affect liver enzyme activity. The essential oils do. And I say that because, again, essential oils are a major, I won't say primary, they're a major focus of study when it comes to the development of drugs, medications. And medications are very targeted in their activity, which means that they will regulate certain genetic receptor activities, and then they also control the liver enzymes and the way the body metabolizes these things and either eliminates it or holds it in the body a little bit longer for extended use. So this is very important, and the essential oils do that. But herbs don't do that. Antioxidants don't do that. And so this is a dangerous thing. But again, this particular same company also has high levels of herbal stimulants and caffeine in them, which will help maybe with weight loss, but it's not going to stabilize the hormonal system. So no matter how effective the diet is, no matter what diet you choose to go on to lose the fat tissue and to increase your metabolism, it's not going to stabilize the hormonal system, again, because of the level of chemicals that we are exposed to on a regular basis. That's going to continually traumatize the body. And as I explained to this woman too, as well, that these particular products that she's taking are antioxidants, which means they are helping the body eliminate oxidative stress. And as I've talked about in prior videos, oxidative stress is something that we produce in response to this, in response to what's coming in. So it is a stress response. That's what oxidative stress is. We are designed to produce our own antioxidants, and if we take antioxidants or drink them or however you do it, it will help reduce oxidative stress, but it's not going to stop the production of oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is what's leading to the obesity levels. Now, on the reverse side, too skinny is also a sign of hormonal imbalance. I mean, it's one way or the other. Like I said, so it's not about having the perfect body. It's really about stabilization. It's about a rock solid foundation on which we can exist. It doesn't make any difference, sometimes when I talk about being skinny, and I know people are watching this, and I'm like, well, they're probably looking at me going, well, you're skinny. And, I am on the slender side, but that's because I actually lived with anorexia for a long, long time. And so my body has a very, very difficult time metabolizing fats and using them properly. And, there was an extraordinary amount of stress. So recovering from that, and I feel like I've done a pretty good job because I hike every day and I do yoga every day. And the reason I do that is because, number one, I'm taking my dog out. I think he thinks he's walking me, but it's a meditation. It's really what it is. It's a meditation. And my yoga is about stretching because, it's just about stretching because years ago I broke my back and it feels good to be able to stretch my hamstrings and my lower back. But that's the reason why I do all that. Not to mention the fact that the deep breathing really helps detoxify my system. It actually helps to relieve some of that oxidative stress. So again, weight issues are not about bad behaviors. Yes, the bad behaviors do come into that, and I should say bad. What's another way of saying this? Instead of saying bad, I'm at a loss for words. It'll come up with it here. Maybe I'll put it in the description box. But it's just about, I don't even want to say it's unsafe. They're just about behaviors that don't serve us. That's how I'll say it. And, we do adopt behaviors that don't serve us in a beneficial way. They don't benefit us. Okay, that's it. Non-beneficial behaviors. Yes, we do adopt those, and yes, they do kind of fall into place because of the brain chemistry. Not going to lie there. At the same time, we have the capacity. This is where we come in as human beings. We have the ability to go, wait a minute, this is not in my highest good. This is not serving me. This doesn't work to just sit on the couch. This doesn't work to starve myself. We have to self-regulate, and we have that capability. But more importantly, like I said earlier, this video really is about wanting to bring an understanding that the weight issues that we're facing, whether it be in this case obesity or even underweight, have everything to do with the environmental trauma. And we, we can work on it together. And we can also help take care of ourselves with the way we think about this, with, understanding that, no, this is not my fault. And we don't have to be hard on ourselves. And, take responsibility for, well, yeah, maybe I did eat too much. Yeah, maybe I don't exercise enough. It's not about getting the perfect body. It's about helping stabilize your system and giving yourself a rock solid foundation on which to live a quality of your life. And also, because that's going to factor into the level of pain. It's going to make a huge difference in your overall health. And again, the same thing if you're too skinny. If you're on the slight side, learning how to stabilize the hormonal system and digestive system so that you can actually carry weight that will keep your body protected and thermoregulation and all that good stuff. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this. If you have questions, let me know. Synergessence.com, sign up for my newsletter. I'm posting basically a blog post a week. You'll get notification of that. You'll also get notification of the courses that I'm developing. Basically, I've talked about them as being advanced clinical aromatherapy for the individual. Another way of saying it is aromatherapy as a lifestyle. But this is really about individualizing your use of essential oils. And so those courses are going to start coming out hopefully by mid-August. It's just a lot of effort going into it. But visit synergessence.com. Check out, like I said, sign up for my newsletter. I've also changed the way I do my integrative health consulting and the blends. The consulting alone is by donation. With the blends, there is a minimal request just to cover my cost. And there's also additional consulting that goes along with that, which again is by donation only. But you're welcome to kind of check it out and see if it's something that fits you. And follow me on Instagram and Twitter at TammyDavis8 on both. And let me know what you think. In the description box below, I'll have all of those links. And Tammy at synergessence.com is my email. Thanks for watching, and you guys take care.